Hey everybody, this is Tam here from Australia, the Million Dollar Monk. Welcome to another Team Take Massive Action Hangout. Tonight we've got a very powerful guest on, but a little bit about him in a sec. What I just want to say is that, we've been having so much fun for the last 70 days plus or so. We've been getting a lot of momentum with our Hangouts, and a lot of people are contacting us asking about what it is that we're doing. In the last 3 days I've had 3 people already signed up. So you're watching right now. You might feel like you want to join us as well. You want to lock arms with us anytime during this hangout. Just hit the link below and get involved with us. It's been a really, really cool journey, and we're just gonna keep providing value. We're gonna keep creating momentum. It's been a lot of fun. Now, next to me, we're going to start with Tien Lee. She's also from Melbourne, Australia. And Tien, do you want to just come out and maybe introduce yourself a little bit?
Yep, thank you for that, Tam. And like you, I'm grateful that I'm on this journey, on this panel with you guys. It's been an amazing journey. I can't believe it's been 70 days. Like, we're coming up to 3 months already. It's gone just so quickly. And for me, it has shown me a lot about how important it is to surround yourself with the right people, because we're all here. We all keep challenging each other, keep pushing each other along, and, it's just been fantastic. A little bit about me. I'm actually, I've been online for about a year now, and beforehand I was actually in corporate, doing the 9 to 5, although it wasn't really 9 to 5 because I was doing like 12, 15-hour days, so it was a lot longer than 9 to 5. And I just got sick of it and couldn't actually picture myself doing that for the next 20, 30 years. And I just thought, no, enough is enough. I'm taking control of my life. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to find a smarter, better way to leverage my time and to make money while I'm enjoying time with my family, while I'm traveling the world, while I'm, out shopping or out going for a walk, whatever it is I'm doing. I'm going to create a residual passive income, and that's why I'm online with this awesome panel. And I'm looking forward to Howard sharing his awesome, powerful story with us tonight. So with that, Tam, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Awesome. It's awesome to have Tien on the panel and being a part of the team. She whips up these wonderful copies for almost nearly every Hangouts now. It's been awesome because she just has the time to do so, and she's so good with that, and it saves us a lot of time. We're going to skip Howard for a second. He's our special guest. We're going to jump right now straight to Emily. Emily's from Quebec, Canada, and they've just had recently Canada Day. She's very busy right now with her restaurant that she's running, and she's got a wedding coming up, and she's got a few weddings she has to attend. But guys, she's keeping it consistent. She's still showing up for her business, and I just want to pass it to Emily for a sec to introduce herself and say a couple of words.
Thanks, Tam. And it's funny. I am busy with my restaurant, my brick and mortar business, and my wedding, and I have a lot of weddings coming up as well. But the beauty about having this business is that it's on automation for me, so I can just basically set it up and still have my business running for me, even though I'm not there. I don't have to be there 24/7. So that's the beauty of having this automated online business. And if you really want to know what it's all about, make sure you just click on the link below. But guys, my name is Emily Nguyen. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And I've been on the online business for less than a year now. It's done wonders for me. I've really learned to become a better version of myself. And that's also by surrounding myself with people like Alan, like Tam, like Tien and Howard here. Amazing people who really believe in their vision, their goals, and to also develop themselves to become a better version of themselves. So by being surrounded with these amazing people, it just makes me become a better person. And maybe you want to become a better person too, or maybe you don't, but you won't know unless you click on the link below. So in any case, guys, I got into the internet marketing world from brick and mortar into the internet marketing world because I was trying to find ways to really market effectively for my brick and mortar. And I eventually found Empower Network. Now, Empower Network is definitely one of the best vehicles I've ever gotten into, and I just love it. I mean, it really helped me create that freedom lifestyle that I always wanted, and which allowed me to spend more time with my family, my friends, and my loved ones. Because the brick and mortar, I mean, that's a whole nother story that I might just get into in another hangout. But I'm just gonna go quickly. Well, you know what? I'm gonna pass it back on to Tam, because otherwise I'll probably take up more time than I should be. But make sure you guys do hang out with us for the next hour, because Howard definitely has a lot of value to provide. If you want to learn more how to spend more time with your family and your loved ones, just like Howard has been doing, by leveraging this online automated business, and this is it. This is for you. You are at the right time and at the right place. So, Tam, pass it back on to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. You brought up a very awesome point there. Just before the live hangout, I was just talking to Howard about the fact that, he was like, oh, I'm sorry about, my kids screaming in the background. And we were like, that's really cool. The fact that you're here working right now and your kids are actually in the background playing. You're actually in the same space together, as opposed to you're going to work and then having to send your kids to school or to daycare and shut them out of your life for that, 8-hour or 10-hour, whatever, how many hours you work for. And this is like really cool. That's another cool fact. I'm just going to do this for a second. Howard, are you on mute at the moment? I'm just going to unmute.
I'm off mute now. I'm off mute.
Yeah, I just want people to hear sort of your kids in the background. Are they stop making noises now?
Yeah, they're a little quieter now.
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, there's half of a side of family here.
Yeah. So you've got the family gathering back over there, and you're building your business right now. You're talking to us, and the kids are playing in the background, and it's what we're doing is really cool, guys. We have people contacting us right now. Well, I don't know about these guys, but for me anyway, they're contacting me. I'm getting a couple of people a day just sort of hit me up on Facebook asking about what it is that we're doing, and I basically have more people contacting me than I do have time to respond to them. So it's really, really cool. We're gonna jump Emily now and go to the far left, where Alan Luck is over there in Toronto, Canada. Alan was actually top 200 in Chicago when we went over there, and he's going to kill it again this time. I just can't wait for him to actually push that button and go into like hyperdrive. Alan, you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit?
Yeah, definitely the $1 Million Monk, and also, Tam, I just love the fact that, with Empowered Network, we were able to find our why again, just like how you found yourself. The true purpose in life is to become the $1 Million Monk. So that's awesome. I cannot wait to, for you to release that book, The $1 Million Monk. So make sure I got an autographed copy, okay? Like Tien, I was also in the corporate world several years ago, right after university. I mean, as the typical Asian, I was always taught to, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, really just becoming the mediocrity, person until retirement, just live the rest of my life just like that. And that's why, I wasn't really satisfied, while I was at my job. And, not only, am I working, like Tian, it's not just 9 to 5, some is 9 to 10, 9 to 11, right? Weekends, right? And it's just crazy hours, and I just hated it. And that's why kind of, got me into the whole the online marketing. That's where when I Google and type in how to make money online. So at the beginning, I definitely struggle a lot. Encounter many failures. But after now as I look back now, I believe the reason why I was failing was because I was all over the place. I was very scattered. I didn't know what I was doing. I was chasing shiny objects, and I was not focused. I was not taking massive action. All right, and so there are so many things. As I look back now, I realize, okay, these are my downfalls. But back then, I was always, blaming, hey, the product is crap. My upline is not supporting me. The company, all the different excuses I would give myself. But now with the Empowered Network, I just, grown to become a person, a better version of myself, just like many of the panel here have discovered. And with this Empower Network, I was able to plug in a system that was, duplicatable. I was able to learn how to, create traffic, capture leads, and convert sales. Which, if most of you guys are still wondering how you do it, we have everything you need here in Empower Network to show you step by step how to do that easily and effortlessly. But all you have to do is make a decision and plug in and make a commitment and dedication to devote yourself to mastery and success. And that's when my journey really started with the Empowered Network, late last year. And ever since then, my life has been just phenomenal. Traveling, really just, really just growing myself. I mean, the money is great, but I've discovered something beyond that. That is not just myself, but I was able to impact people around me. Seeing a change in their life, making an impact in seeing, them taking massive actions, before they were struggling, now they're seeing success. I mean, those are the kind of things that really got me going and really just, just love it. So, I mean, I kind of, read up on Howard's story, which is very, very powerful, by the way. So if you guys, are still watching this, you definitely have to stick around and just listen to every word that Howard is about to share with you. Because he is going to put you in a trance and make you just click the button below and click now and just buy it. So Tam, back to you so we can hear Howard's amazing story.
Wow, that's awesome. Alan says so much in such a short period of time. You might want to rewind that bit and listen to Alan. There's so many little things in there that will definitely help you succeed, and a lot of mindset he was talking about. But he's definitely right. One of the biggest things that stops me from getting my success sooner was, I had a bunch of excuses. I was always talking about, oh man, if I wasn't living here, if I was living in the States, I'd be surrounded by more internet marketers and I could have had the success I got earlier. And, whatever excuse you probably thought of, I have thought of in the past. And people, we have a tendency to make up excuses as opposed to take the action, as opposed to accepting it and taking the action. And that's just a human natural reaction. The easiest thing to do, the first thing we do is first come up with an excuse why we can't do it, right? And that's a funny thing. If you can overcome that, you can overcome anything. Now, I'm extremely excited about this hangout. This is the first time I've actually been on a hangout with Howard, and this is, besides talking through Facebook, we haven't had a chat yet in person. And this is the power of the internet, how we're able to connect now, and our friendship will strengthen, I'm pretty sure, when we meet each other in Denver in a couple of weeks from now. And the coolest thing about, what Howard's going through is that, he has battled severe back pain, and he was told to sit in a wheelchair, but he defied that and he stood up, and because he had the mentality for success, and he's going to share some of those. But he went out there and he started building his business. In less than 3 years, he put in over 100 consultants and making him giving him very high status inside of Avon for 3 years consecutively. And he's also been, involved in the past with Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Howard, I can't remember his last name,
Mark Victor
Mark Victor Hansen as well. And yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with those names, now this is the caliber of the guy that's about to talk soon. So guys, bring out your pen, paper, start to take notes. Howard, we want to hear your full story, buddy. So what I'm going to do now is pass the floor to you, and just go ahead, start from the beginning.
Oh, sure, we can start from the beginning. Well, one of the things that we're going to start about is you talk about a little bit about my sales past. I started out in the sales game as an insurance salesman. I actually worked as a door-to-door insurance salesman. When you want to talk about getting rid of timidity and fear, I actually knocked on people's doors and asked them to buy insurance. There were lots of things that people are afraid of doing, and when you want to talk about getting rid of fear, that's one of the ways that you have to actually, probably one of the most fearful things to do is to literally knock on somebody's door, not just walk into a business, but actually knock on their door. And that's literally how I got my start. It was the principle of W. Clement Stone. If anybody who's familiar with that, W. Clement Stone built one of the largest insurance dynasties in the world, which is Aon Corporation. He wrote the book with Napoleon Hill, which was The Success System That Never Fails. And it was actually the principle that brought me to the mindset that I actually developed in my life. W. Clement Stone's principle started in Chicago, of all places, where it was the first event that I went to with Wisdom and Power, was Chicago. And the principle was to basically never give up, and that's the easiest and best method that I can actually say it in. He, as a child, was selling newspapers in downtown Chicago, and he continued to go into basically a coffee shop or a diner. And he went in to sell a newspaper for a dime, and he'd be thrown out of the diner, and he just kept going back. And in his principles of going back, he continued to go back into. He continued to. There's the kids. There you go. He continued to go back into that diner and get thrown out. And as he just continued to go back in, his perseverance decided that the owner of the diner put up his hands in the air and said, "What's the use?" And at that point, he'd sell one newspaper after another. And it's kind of the same principle of what we do in Empower, is that, we continue to, one, get leads, and we know that we're not going to make a sale on one lead. We have to get many leads to make that sale. Well, that principle is the same as that you never give up in life. And so that's one of the ways that I was taught, is that I don't give up very easily. So let's just put that thought for the second and realize that thought into my story, is that principle was put in place. In insurance business, I went from being just a lonely insurance man to managing an insurance sales team to becoming a sales manager to, in turn, I lived in New England at the time, to managing a large sales district. And unfortunately, at one point, it was kind of a fortunate part. At that point, my wife, who was then my girlfriend, I went to meet her family on vacation to play golf. I made a golf swing. I had a pain go down my leg, and as it turned out, it became something that was a little bit more than a pain. That turned out into a major back problem that required back surgery. And at that point, I was put into a situation where I found that I had a degenerative disc disease that I ended up having to retire from my job at 27 years of age. And at that point, I had not had the ability to ever go back to work for a corporate world again. I was put on disability for my company. The salary that I was making at that point in time, that I was earning, was no longer available to me. And, I was left with, what else could I do? I had thought that after about 30 days, 3 months, I was going to be back to work. And unfortunately, in rehab, I found that my disc that had been operated on needed surgery again. And one thing led to another, where I was now finding that my problems weren't getting better; they were getting worse as far as my back. And unfortunately, with that, you go into a situation where, as lots of people do, you find dependent on painkillers. You find yourself depressed, that that no one's out there to help you, that there's things that are out there. But on the other side of it, I've had mindset training from trainers and sales trainers and things like that. And it was a tough time for quite a few years. But I went back into my bag of tricks, and with that being said, I decided that I was going to do something for myself. And I happened to find, in my back of training, I went in and found the principles of somebody who actually became somewhat dear to me, who was Les Brown. And I actually joined a company. It was an MLM company that was a personal professional development company. And we actually promoted motivational speakers. We promoted a television network of motivational speakers, and I at that point became friendly with Les Brown, and unfortunately at that point in time, I actually woke up one morning and my back problems became worse than I had ever imagined possible. I woke up and couldn't walk. I was literally paralyzed, and this is something that, truthfully, most of the people that I'm friends with in Empower don't even know the story. I've never told this story to anybody in Empower Network before. And Tam actually brought this out on me today, and it was just, he asked me about a story, and I said, well, I don't really have much to really tell you. And I started telling him this, and he's like, are you kidding me? You don't have much to tell? And I just really never wanted to share the story with anybody. I don't know why I didn't want to, but he brought it out, and so, I've decided to give him the story. Anyhow, this one morning I woke up and I literally fell on the floor and I couldn't walk. It turned into the situation where we were, believe it or not, it's just kind of funny, but we were actually scheduled. I had just about a week before had been with Les Brown at a meeting in Fort Lauderdale. He had just held my daughter. I had just shared that picture with Tam today, actually. 15 and a half years ago, this picture was taken with Les Brown, holding my daughter. She was 2 months old. The daughter perhaps will be sitting behind me at the moment. She's 15 and a half now. The 2 days later, I'm finding myself not even be able to walk. And the thing was that, I didn't know what to do. We were getting ready to get on a plane and go to Ohio, which I am now with the family, to take my daughter, who had just been born, to see the rest of the family. And I didn't know how to do it. And the thing was that I just decided that I was going to go to Ohio, go on vacation, do what I was going to do, and come back. When I came back, I ended up in surgery. And I went to a rehab hospital and literally had to learn how to walk again. And there were two things that drove me to getting better at that point. One was literally Les Brown, his principles, his desire that he said, one, you got to be hungry. And if anybody's looked at the first blog I ever wrote in Empower, it's Les Brown saying you got to be hungry. Two, it's not over until you win. And I truly believe that in this business, the only way you won't be successful in Empower Network is to quit. And it's not over until you win. So realize that the way that you win in this business is to continue at it, because it's not over until you win. Les said it years ago. It's still today is as important as it was then. Just remember that. It's not over until you win. And I thought that. I held my daughter in my arms. She was at that point 4 months old. And I sat and cried, and I lied in bed and said, I've got to get the will to get up. I've got to do this. And I decided that medication wasn't going to help. My will to get up and be a better person, be a better father, to be a father, was going to be what I needed. And it was mindset. It's exactly what it is in anything. And it just, just like we hear, you guys have probably heard it 100 times. And for those of you who've never heard the saying before, but if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That saying is exactly true. And at that point, I thought I could. And I decided to have them send me from an ICU unit to a rehab hospital. Within that, in 10 days, I went from lying in a hospital bed to walking. So realize the power of the mind and what you can do and where you can go from there. At that point, there was a situation where, once again, you can't work for anybody anymore. You're in a disability situation where you've got to figure out how to work for yourself. And I at that point I went on to basically promoting, and I was promoting Brian Tracy seminars at that point, and I learned a lot in that situation with promotions and how to be a better business person, how to speak a lot better, how to speak in front of a crowd. And I did a lot, believe it or not. I did this from my home, which was another fantastic way of doing business, was to be able to fill a room of people from my house. So that was a fantastic way that I was able to work. And I had the honor of being able to meet Brian Tracy on several occasions and meet other public speakers as well. And that was kind of a passion of mine. So when the opportunity over the years, came through to be with public speakers, and that passion of that came through. It was just something that to me made sense. In the mix of these things, with my life, there still was that struggle that I knew that my back problems were never going to go away, but I also had to work through them and get through that. Through those years, I decided, me and my wife had decided that one of the things that we did when we were promoting other people was also making other people rich. And that was something that gave us a little bit of a problem, and we decided that we wanted to have our own business. And we had done that. We decided to open up a brick-and-mortar business and run that business. And Emily's heard a little bit about this story, is that we opened up our own brick-and-mortar business, which actually was a tanning salon in our local community. It was a tanning and coffee shop. And we had that in the local community for about 8.5 years. But the one struggle about that community is that in that community is that you become a member of the community, you become a member of society, you make an impact in that society, and you feel that that's great. But then you also become a prisoner to that part of the community as well. And what I mean by that is that when you want to go on vacation, what happens? You got to watch that business. You got to worry about that business. You have to think about what goes on in that business when you're not there. You also realize that if you're not running that business, you have to pay somebody else to run it for you. So the struggle of that becomes another struggle. You also realize that when you're not running that business, you're not making as much money, and you're paying somebody. And then you just, that whole struggle of that situation of the business that you're not there running, it just, it's like a double whammy. So, it's great to have your own business, but then the bills that you're always paying are always there, and then when you're not there, you're making less money. So it just becomes, that situation. And Emily and myself have spoke about this a couple times on how, that business is just fantastic to have, but it's also a monkey on your back when you're not able to be there, and then you have to feel like, you almost feel like your employees are thieves, and it feels bad because they become your friends when they're working for you, but when you're not there, you feel like you're having to watch cameras to watch them, and that it's just something that you hate to have to be in a situation in, but that's the situation you are when you have employees, and it's a terrible situation. But getting back to that, not to be too long-winded, but that's the way it is when you own a business, a brick-and-mortar business. And through that, we went through some great success with that business, and unfortunately, the economy took its toll on us. And back in October 2009, we ended up having to shut our doors in that business, and it left us with something that, that was kind of a hole in our life. We had something that we thought was going to be a legacy to pass down to our children, and here it is now with now nothing. We have, we had a business that our name was stamped in a center of our community, and now it's gone. And here it is still with myself still having back problems. We went and we had started, while we had the salon, started doing Avon. We started, selling products out of the tanning salon that we had. And so at that point we decided, well, let's see what we can do with this. And so we started, we had started selling it. We started then recruiting people in it. We started, selling it and recruiting it, and we got somewhat successful in that. And over about a 3-year period selling Avon, we put about 100 people into that business. And so we had found that we were doing pretty well with that, successful enough that every year that we were in it, we achieved what was called President's Club in the Avon business, which is a high level of success. But the one thing about Avon is that if you have health problems, which unfortunately both me and my wife were struck with some problems in that, the minute you stop, your income stops. And that's a vicious cycle, is that, I'm a selling machine, and that's what we were relying upon in that business, was my sales. The recruiting part, we had to rely on those other people to sell, which we could never depend on that. And when, unfortunately, my back problems didn't stop either, and in November of 2010, I had unfortunately had to go under the knife again. I had found out a couple months earlier that if I didn't have a surgery again, I was going to be paralyzed. I was going to lose all functions of my ability to go to the bathroom and these other things. And I was given some pretty bad news. And I was told by my doctor I could probably wait, but if I wait, the longer I wait, the worse my situation was going to be. And basically I was told that I was going to need a major surgery. At that point, I had to have 3 artificial discs put into my back, 4 titanium rods, and 10 screws. And then when I had that surgery, I actually had a spinal fluid leak in the hospital and was left lying in a hospital bed for 48 straight hours, flat in the back, had to be motionless, and if I moved, I could have been paralyzed for life. And so through that, I persevered. I made it through that. I got out of that situation. And luckily, I had a fantastic neurosurgeon that did great surgery. He's put me to the ability that I can walk. I have motion. I'm doing the things that I can do today. I'm able to spend time with my kids. I'm able to actually coach softball with my daughter at times. So there's things that I can actually do. One of the things why I can have that ability to do that is mindset. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I decided at one point, I'm not going to lie here. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to sit in this bed anymore. But getting back to that entire time that I was knocked out, that I was lying in that bed, was I making money selling Avon? No, I wasn't. There wasn't anything that I could make money doing. And getting back to that, all the stories that I know now in the Empower Network of, your fellow Australian that's making money lying in her bed with similar problems that I have. Hers are a little bit sometimes worse than mine. That she's making amazing amounts of money with her paralysis. And you look at these situations, it's all possible regardless of your situation. Once again, you hear my kids, my nieces, my nephews running around in the background. We're doing this regardless of the situation that goes on. And that's the thing that we all have to realize, is that in this business, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It's a no excuse business. It doesn't matter what goes on. Your situation, whether you're lying in a bed, I've seen Chris Record, let's see, on a golf course. I've seen him in a car. Doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, how you can do it. This business is possible regardless of what your situation is. It doesn't matter. It's simple. What drove me into this particular company and this business is that, one, obviously I had that personal professional background, and the stories that I had heard, I was looking for something different. I didn't like the fact that I continually had to be on the sales, push continuously, sell, and the second you stop, there's really no residual in the Avon business. I'd have to sell $1,200 in sales in a 2-week period to collect a $35 check in residuals. That's ridiculous. And at that point, when you look at Empower Network, you can be sick and work. You can be on vacation and work. You can do things, that when you're away, you can post an ad, for example, in an away area when you're away and get responses and get leads. I've gotten probably 60 leads in the Ohio area out of Craigslist, just for an example, while I've been away on 4th of July vacation. And I'm enjoying family time, no matter how much they're all arguing with each other, as we hear in the background. It's just amazing what the ability you have in this business to do. The other thing that Tam says to me, talk about what brought you into this. Well, one of the things was I just decided that I needed something different. I was actually looking at a couple other businesses at the time, and truthfully, the guy that I came in under, he had another business. I looked at his other business, and I looked at it and said, something about it wasn't there, and he actually kept posting things about Empower Network. I looked at Empower Network, and I saw the story of Dave and Dave, and their looseness, the way that they went about the business was so non-binding. It was just so loose about it that you could just be yourself It didn't matter who you were, what you were, and anybody who's ever seen some of my videos, I play a script of Michael Jackson, black and white, on one of my videos. If you click on successwithhoward.com, you'll see how that is. It doesn't matter who you are. It's kind of basically that, and that's how my impression of Empower Network. It's your future. Your past in this business makes no difference. It doesn't matter if you've basically if you've been jailed, because we know there's a few people in our line that's spent time in prison. It doesn't matter. It's okay. You can come in this business and forget about your past. It doesn't matter if your ability to work in the corporate world has been taken away from you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can walk or can't walk. It doesn't matter what your past was. The thing is in this business in itself, we have the training. We have, our systems in place. The other thing is that there's a lot of selflessness in here. When you look at it, Tam comes to me and says, "Hey, would you like to be on this hangout? I want to help you. I want to show you what we can do together." There's no gain from anybody else in this business to do that. We're helping each other be successful as a team. And to me, that stands a huge, huge, huge gain for just selflessness. And that's something that to me goes a long way. And that's the thing that really I love about this business, is that you're able to help somebody. And when I was in Chicago, one of the things that really, really stood a huge thing, it just stood out a lot, was I had the opportunity on Saturday night to talk with Tissa. And one of the things, and anybody who doesn't know Tissa, one of his successes, his story was fantastic, but one of his successes and the way he was successful was basically his edifying people and taking what he does and gives all of it to his team. And the only way he's ever been successful, being successful, is giving everything he has to his team and making the others on, below successful, and that brings him up. And that's what I find in this business, is that we're all finding our success by helping others be successful. And that's the bottom line. And I see that completely in this business, and I find that, we're able to overcome wherever we've been before and find ourselves successful that way. And, it goes exactly in the line of what my story is all about, is that I've overcome where I was. I've overcome, my struggles that I've been in. Yes, I still will have back pain probably for the rest of my life. I still have numbness in my areas of my hands and my legs and my feet. But you know what? I'm functioning. I'm doing what I can to be, a functional member of society, a functional member of making an income. And I'm doing what I can to help others be functional and make an income. And that's even more impacting to me, is that I can actually help others be functional in a business, and I can do it from wherever I'm at. I'm at my niece's house in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and in between Akron and Zanesville, Ohio, if anybody even knows where that is, and I'm doing it, reaching out to the world. We have people here from Australia, we have people from Canada on a hangout with me on a panel, and everybody else around the world are able to watch that. And that's a fantastic feat, is that we're able to do that and touch people's lives from that. And if that doesn't say everything there, I don't know what does. That's the power of what the internet does. And I don't know any other business that I can be involved in that I can do what I just did. And if you want to know why I'm involved in that, there you go. That's it. That's how you do it. And if Tam has something that he can do and train me from, he's doing it, 12 with a 12-hour time difference, whatever it is. I think it's about a 12-hour time difference from me, and showing me how to do it, and vice versa. And we're all showing it to the entire world, sitting here on a Google Hangout. It's a great world that we have. It's a great business that we're in. So that's what I got. That's my story.
No, absolutely agree. It's my business of choice anyway. I believe it's the best business to be in. Think about this: the freedom that you have with this business, right? You can generate ton of leads, and more leads than you do have time. to talk with, right? You're not actually chasing people around and trying to convince people to join your business, because you can target these leads. You can target these people. There are people out there. The internet is the best form of marketing, because there are people out there that have problems that you have a solution for, right? And so they're looking for you right now on the internet. They're searching every single day. Millions of people searching every single day because they have a problem they want a solution for. And all you have to do is master how you can position yourself in front of those people, and you can be making money hands down, right? And here, if you hit the link below this video, you're getting that kind of education. You're getting the exact education that we're getting. So we're going to show you how to really master that skill, and so that you can position yourself in front of people. But I love what you're sharing, Howard. You've got a really great story, and I see this very so often. A lot of people, they don't think they have a story, right? And one of the things you said before you jumped on here was, you're like, when I become successful, when I'm on stage holding that big giant check, that's when I'm going to share my story. But I think by doing that, you're depriving a lot of people, and you're not allowing people to step into their power. And the reason I say this is this: for example, you just shared a powerful story of yourself overcoming the fact that you sat in a wheelchair, that you had to sit in a wheelchair. Now, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are actually in that exact same position. Now they're looking at you for guidance. Now they're looking at you for strength. And you have to keep pushing. You have to be stronger, because the further you can walk, that's how much you're proving to people that, look, it is possible for you to also walk this far. So right now, you're the spokesman for these people. You're the front of the line. You're the soldier and the general. You're making way, and there are people now watching you, and they're going to follow your direction. And we've got a very great lady. Her name is Christina Munoz from Australia, and she's basically almost paralyzed from the chest down. And she basically do this business. She's inside of this business as well. She does this business laying on her back, and I think I'm not sure how much she's making per month right now, but when I was in Austin, she has made a total commission of over $50,000 just by laying on her back, blogging daily, and share it with other people and get money. Right now, I'm just going to pass the mic on to, perhaps we're going to start with Alan. I love it. I love the fact that Alan's always at the far end, and you always pick on him to become first, right? And then he always, it's good, but because he always like set us up for some things to say. So I hope you're ready, Alan, and I think you're ready all the time, anytime, because your unconscious is that powerful. Do you have any question or comments for Howard?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks, Tam. And actually, Howard, really awesome story. As you're going through that pain, and really just, as you said, how Les Brown kind of, really push you out of your comfort zone to really, take control of your life and decide to finally, unleash yourself from the wheelchair. That was really powerful. That really just touched my heart. And I believe, what Tam said was really profound as well, is that, a lot of people on the internet are not always looking for that, the money, all those money, the shiny, all the big, fancy car, the big houses, but really it's just stories like this that really kind of give them hope again. I mean, I think most of us is actually, that's what we're looking for, is hope. Is we kind of lost that along the way as society kind of push us aside and really just become a lesser version of ourselves. And your story really just touched me on many emotional levels. So because I was also in the last Fairies event when I think I forgot it was Austin or Chicago, when they did a live feed with Christina Munoz, from Australia also, where she was suffering from back pain. And I believe she will be going to the Denver event, if I'm not mistaken. But just seeing that, she has a lot of courage. I mean, same thing as you, Howard. You have a lot of courage. You really just step into your own power and really just make things happen despite everything going around you. I mean, I really applaud you for that. I think that similar situation, 2 years ago when I was over at the Anthony Robbins event when we did the firewalk experience. I mean, at the beginning I was really frightened, I was really fearful, but at the end of the day, I just made the decision to just walk that fire and just really make myself known that if I can walk through fire, I can go through anything in life. And that was a really great analogy, and helped me set it up. And actually allowed me to become, a better, more powerful version of myself today. So I do want to ask Howard a question is, when you were going through all those tough times, when you were in a wheelchair, when you were really going through those pain, did you ever, like try to blame others or try to, put yourself down a little bit? And I believe also, you mentioned personal development has helped you tremendously, but maybe talk about a little bit for, those who are watching this right now that maybe in their life they're feeling all this pain in them, right? And how can they maybe kind of walk them through, your situation, how you kind of gone out of that pain and finally found, comfort in your life?
Well, I don't know if I've ever blamed others. I mean, some of my back problems stem back for when, believe it or not, the night after graduation from high school, I was in a car accident. I was a passenger, and I went through a lot for 5 years after that, and there were some stories that kind of go back to that. But I've never been one to really blame others. I kind of take responsibility for my own actions, and I've always been one to do that. And I think life kind of deals us whatever we have, and we kind of have to take what we're dealt with and roll with that. I'm just not really a blamer. I've just never been that kind of way. So for me to blame, it's just not my style. But I do know that it is some people's style, and it is an easy way out. You just kind of take that blame and you kind of look at it and you go through a depression. As far as being depressed, absolutely. Depression's an easy way to kind of try to look at things, and you kind of it kind of eats away at you for a little while. One thing that I did share with Tam that I kind of took it the opposite way though. I went from at one point in my life I was about almost 300 pounds. Which now I've kind of put on a little bit of weight, but I put it down. I went down to about 168 pounds, somewhere around there, and I'm sitting around 200 now. So I mean, I've actually through my weight situation have shed off an awful lot of weight as well. Which helps with that depression, gives you a lot more confidence in your life, and helps you feel a lot better about yourself. It also helps with the back problems too. So, I just getting back to the initial thing, I've never sat and blamed somebody else. I felt sorry for myself maybe a few times, but never blamed. I've just always, once again, when I go back to it, I've always just believed in the principles of what I was taught earlier in life with W. Clement Stone and the Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, W. Clement Stone's book. If anybody's ever had the chance, it's a small book. It may somewhat be a little bit outdated, but The Success System That Never Fails is a fantastic book to read, and it really, really is a great principle in how a system together, and it really is a great way to put your own system together and understanding how systems itself and being a systematic person will help your life. I may not be the most organized person in the world, but I love systems. And it really helps yourself on how you can put your life together systematically and continue to do something over and over again, and how at some point that system will give you success. And it's just the same way that we always look at it in this business, is that when we put together, however we do our business, and we all know in this business that everybody has their own techniques, whether it happens to be blogging every day and doing the 8 core commitments and making sure you're doing those on an even keel, and whichever one that you choose is going to be your strength that you're going to use to be successful at. And or whether it's you're placing an ad and you knowing that you're not going to place an ad and get one response, and that's going to be your one sale, and each one's going to turn over into a sale. It just doesn't really happen that way. I mean, if it does, fantastic. If you've got those odds, great for you. If you do, please contact me and tell me how you're doing it, because I want to have those odds too. But it doesn't happen for everybody that way. It just doesn't. You just have to have the reality that, you're going to have failures to have success. When I sold insurance, I used to go down the street, and in the morning I'd set myself up to saying I need 10 no's today first before I'm going to hear a yes. And I'd actually get depressed if I didn't hear 10 no's. That's how you'd actually get yourself set up for success. So, in those principles, that was kind of the success system that never fails. So you realize that you need failure to have success. It's kind of like the same thing as Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was never elected to a major office until he was elected president. He failed continuously. So failures lead to success. The problem is you never can give up. You got to continue to persevere in life to be successful. Just the way that I've always looked at things. I hope that answers what you asked me, but it's just that I've always looked at a success principle. I'm not always successful at what I do, but I understand that I just never quit.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I mean, yeah, I think your principle of not quitting will actually help a lot of people today realize that, if they don't quit, they will eventually make it. And I think, you have a very powerful story, so hope that you will get out there more and share that story with more people, and so that they can be empowered and realize that they can also become the person they choose to be and break free from all their past struggles. So with that said, Tam, I want to pass it back to you.
Awesome. One of the things that the reason I chose this vehicle as well, and Alan just touched on it, become the person who you really want to become. And Howard touched on this a little bit before as well. He talked about selflessness. Now, just the other day, I was watching this video, and I grow up, I love dancing and I love music, and one of the music I love is rap and hip hop, right? And every now and then, I watch these videos, and I was watching this video just the other day of a rapper, and there was a beatboxer. And one guy was beatboxing, and the other guy was just freestyling. He's got a beard. They were at a party, and these guys were just having fun, right? During that moment, though, what I saw was this: there was two guys in the middle who was getting all the attention because they were performing a great feat. Everyone was like, "Whoa!" Every time they say something smart, the people around was going, "Whoa!" Giving them compliments, lifting them up. Right, and I think the video went for about 10 minutes, and then after a while, it was like when that video sort of finished, when the beatbox stopped, when the freestyling stopped, I was like, okay, what's next, right? So at that moment, the beatboxer and the rapper, they had all the attention of the people around them, right? For that moment, they were entertaining the group. But after that, right, they lost all the attention, right? And after that, what happened was they have not add value to any of these people's lives that were around them, right? What we're doing with these Hangouts is different. You guys are watching this right now, right? We're not doing this for us. We're giving you something for you, right? And that's the reason why I love this, right? After watching this Hangout, you're going to grow as a person, right? You're going to become somebody different. You're going to be able to take action, hit the link below, get involved, and start building a business, make money, replace that income so that you can have more time freedom and stuff like that. And so, I love what we're doing right now. We're doing this not for us, but we're doing this for the people that are watching, like you guys. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be, because after this Hangout, right, you walk away feeling good about yourself. Even if you don't hit the link below, even if you don't decide to pull out your credit card, and even if you don't decide to join us, that's okay. You're going to walk away with a smile, right? Hopefully what we've done tonight has inspired you to go and, inspire some other people in your existing business, right? So right now I want to shift the mic and the focus to Emily. I'm sure she's got some questions and comments for Howard. Emily, it's all yours.
Thanks, Sam. And I just wanted to thank Howard for sharing his story, because like he said, it's his first time ever sharing his story. So congrats on that, Howard. And I'm sure you're just going to attract so much more people towards you who can relate to your story. But thank you for sharing. And, as you were sharing your story, though, and how, you couldn't get out of the wheelchair, you were going through so much of that back pain, and you decided to work on your mindset, and that's what it's really all about. It's as long as you believe that you can, then you can. And like you said, if you don't think that you can, then you can't. It's really all in your mindset, and you really, if you're watching this, you really have to be able to work inside of yourself first, and realize that you have the potential to have the freedom lifestyle that you've always wanted, to travel as much as you always wanted, to spend more time with your family, your friends, and your loved ones. But it's a matter of you deciding whether you're going to take the action or not, and click on the link below or lock arms with whoever invited you here. And so as Howard was sharing his story and how much pain he was going through, but he couldn't get out of his wheelchair, but he wanted to spend more time with his family, he just took that decision right away. So as he was sharing that, I was able to relate, because I went through a sickness myself after, I was in the brick and mortar business, like I mentioned earlier. And in my second year of my brick and mortar of being in business, I opened another restaurant, a second restaurant. And on the 6th month of the opening of that second restaurant, I was diagnosed with diabetes type 1. And I was hospitalized for a while. I kept vomiting. I didn't know what was happening with my body. It's just my body couldn't adjust properly, and I just wasn't eating. I was losing a lot of weight. I was going through so much pain, and my fiance, because my fiance and I opened the restaurants together, he was going back and forth between the brick and mortar business, trying to manage, supervise, and really take care of the restaurants by himself while I was in the hospital. And he'd come by at the hospital at night to my bedside and really sleep there until the next morning he would go back and go back to the brick and mortar business. And that's when I told myself that we have to really find I have to get into something else where I could spend more time with my loved ones, because I realized that the brick and mortar took a lot of my time, and like Howard mentioned, it's just draining to really be, even if you wanted to go on vacation, you'd have to you're always worried about your business as well. So at that moment, I realized that we had to get into a different vehicle that would allow us to spend more time with our loved ones. Because as I was laying on my my hospital bed, it's something I had to do, so I did it. But when I said I did it, I didn't jump onto Empower Network right away, because I didn't know about this business opportunity. But I knew what I wanted, and what I wanted was to spend more time with my loved ones. So as soon as I set that clear goal, that clear intention in my head, and just like probably you're setting your intentions as clear as well, and I saw the opportunity right in front of me, in front of my screen, that's when I knew, and I took it and I ran with it. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this hangout, I was in the brick and mortar business, and how I fell into this online network internet marketing business was because I was trying to search for ways to market for my brick and mortar. But then as soon as I saw the video, that's when right then and then, that's when I knew, right? So guys, what I'm saying is to take immediate action when you see the opportunity, because as you've been watching this hangout for the past hour and 10 minutes, there's a reason why you're here, and you're obviously looking for something more for yourself. And you deserve to spend more time with your family, your friends, and your loved ones, just like how Howard has been doing, just like how everybody else here as well. So I encourage you really to lock arms with whoever invited you here, and to Tam.
Awesome. Is that me or Emily cutting out there?
Am I cutting off? I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. No. That's good. Awesome message again. I love it. I love it. I love sitting here and absorbing everything that comes in. So, guys, as you're watching this video right now, I want you to just empty your mind, right? And I want you to allow yourself to take in all the information that we're sharing right now, right? And just let your unconscious decide whether or not to hit the link below and get started, right, guys? I'm going to move right along down the line. And Tim, have you got any question or comments for Howard?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Tam. And Howard, thank you so much for sharing your story. And like Tam said before, you need to share your story with more people. Get out there and, let the world see who you are, because it's just an incredible story. And I just want to say congratulations to you for, coming as far as you have in life, because you've just done so much, and it's so admirable. You actually got yourself out of a wheelchair. And because I've actually, in the past, I've suffered from really bad back pain, but not to the extent where I was in a wheelchair. So I know, I can feel your pain and, what you would have gone through. And, for me, it took a lot for me to get over as well. But yeah, I'm just blown away by your story, Howard, is all I can say. And one thing that you really touched on that I think is extremely, extremely important is this business is for anybody. Anybody can do this. When I first came online, I had no idea anything about, I've never done online internet marketing before, and it was completely new to me. And it still amazes me how many people have found success in Empower Network. We have 12-year-old kids, we have deaf people, we have blind people, we have people who can't even speak English that are successful in Empower Network, because like you and like all of us on the panel, they had an intention. They wanted to be successful. They did whatever it took. They took the action. They took massive action and did whatever they had to do to get where they wanted to go. And like you said before, they had the attitude of never giving up. They're going to win no matter what. They're going to keep going. And they're hungry, like we're all hungry. That's why we're here, because we want to help other people. We want to give people the vehicle to reach their dreams, to reach their goals. And just thank you so much for sharing your message, Howard. I did have a question for you, but it's slipped my mind. Yeah, but just something else that you said about failure. Oh, I can't even say that word. Being prepared to fail. It's really important, not only with this business, but offline as well. You have to be able to fail or learn how to fail before you can become successful. And yeah, my mind's just gone blank. So I'm going to hand the mic back to Tam, because I can't actually remember my question. Thank you, Howard.
Hey, if you're watching this video right now and you hear that noise in the background probably from Howard, I was just gonna say that's really cool. A lot of people would actually associate that with a distraction, but for me, hearing that voice is giving me a lot of making me smile, because Howard is actually free from the shackle of a 9 to 5. He's actually at home. He's building his business from home. He's got his family there with him, and so that's just really, really awesome. Howard shared something to me before that was really cool. I don't know if you want to share that, Howard. The picture that you had with Les Brown, and I think in this photo you were like 100 lbs overweight, right? Yeah, but maybe just share that for a second, and to let people see.
Sure, I gotta pull it up. How do we pull that up? You want me to pull it up? Let me figure out how it screen share. It's right here. You guys see that?
Now open up the picture.
We able to see that or no?
Yeah, can you make it bigger?
How big? Can't see where it even is.
Oh, just double click.
Where I didn't even see where it went. Where did it go? Where did it go to?
I don't know. I think you've turned off screen share. That's why we can't see your screen anymore.
Ah, okay. There it goes. Ah, here we go. Whoop. Let me see if I can get it again. Wow. Crazy. Tam, you opened up a can of worms. Hold on.
I might just do it on my end. You sent it to me before.
Oh, and I lost it. I don't know what happened to it. What's the easiest way to share it? I hit screen share, but I lost. You got me?
No problem. Yeah, look, I'm just gonna put it on my screen right now. And it's that one. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
It's almost 16 years ago.
Right.
Awesome.
So you've known Les Brown for a long time, and then I think this is your daughter right now, the baby that was in the arm. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
What was really cool for me was when I saw this, it was really, really cool, really, really awesome, because it's been a long time coming, and Howard's been in the game for a long time. He's still fighting, still battling. He's been, he didn't find it amazing, but I did, right? That he lost, nearly 100 kilos, and yeah, the fact that he was in a wheelchair, came out and kept battling and battled his business, and to see now his daughter at a certain age, how she's grown so big in that. I mean, how does it feel just looking at that, Howard?
It's kind of comical actually to look at that picture. I mean, it's great seeing a picture years ago with Les Brown, and knowing that I used to be involved in a network marketing business with Les Brown, and to see that the daughter of mine who just briefly came in the camera just a second ago, but one of the things that that I had mentioned quickly in the story is that's the daughter that I held in my arms, and that inspired me to get out of bed, and I try. I have 3 daughters, and I try not to play favorites to any of them, but at times it's kind of hard because she's happens to be just one that inspired me, and I kind of hold her a little bit above the rest of them only because of that fact that she was that reason that pushed me as a father. I didn't have the other 2 daughters at the time. The other 2 weren't even born, and like I said, I try not to play favorites to any of them, but it was her being there. It was the inspiration of her that pushed me to where I'm at, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't really ever have moved any further. So I mean, I have a hard time ever even looking at her and not thinking of that moment. I mean, every day I look at her, I think of that moment. So it's an everyday inspiration, and it's funny that when I come upon that picture, because that picture was taken, and about 2 or 3 days later, I was struck down, completely. So I mean, when Les Brown was holding her, she was about 2 months old, and then next thing you know, I lost my ability to move. So it's just kind of a funny thing altogether how it all worked. But like I said, it's I look at that picture and a lot of memories come back.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I wanted to bring that up because you were sharing that story, and I thought it's great to share because that was your inspiration uh, to keep going. So we're coming down to the bottom of the hour. I mean, time flew so fast with this hangout. Um, I just want to do this very quickly. I'm going to pass the mic again back to our panelists for final thoughts. And this time I'm going to start with Tim. Save Alan for last.
Thank you, Tam. I just want to say for anyone who's watching this, and if like me, you've never had online experience, this is possible. Anything's possible. Like Howard said before, whatever you set your mind to is possible, as long as you have the attitude that you're never going to give up, that you're going to just keep going, no matter what. Because failing is going to take you to success. So don't be afraid to fail. And click the link below this video, lock arms with us, and come and meet us in Denver.
Awesome. Emily?
Yeah, there was just so many nuggets that were dropped throughout the hangout, and at the end of the day, it's just like what Howard says. It all comes down to the mindset and whether you believe in yourself or you don't. And if you do, the world is your oyster. You can do so much because you have so much power and potential within yourself. And it's just a matter about being able to unlock it and unleashing yourself, because you do have a story, you do have a voice, and as long as you just keep dreaming and chase after your dreams and never give up, like Howard says, click on the link below and lock arms with us. Let us show you how you can unleash that and really turn your passion into profit, or really show you how you can achieve your dream lifestyle as well. So pass it straight to Alan.
Oh, awesome. Oh, thanks, Sam. And yeah, I totally love the quote, Howard, you said that whatever, you believe you can or you can, you're absolutely right. I shared a story actually a little while back, so I think it's appropriate to kind of share this again. So there was a man who actually went into a circus, and the man actually saw this big